What's goody with you all today? My name is Reiji VT, and today I wanted to talk about card games. Again! But this time, I wanted to talk to you all about how to get into card games, and let me explain why. Since the release of Yu-Gi-Oh Master Duel, I've seen a lot more people being curious or wanting to try how the actual card game is. But the problem is, when it comes to getting into Yu-Gi-Oh or any other TCG for that matter, it can be hard knowing exactly how to get started up, and going in blind with all the available products can be daunting sometimes. So I wanted to offer a few tips, share from my own experience, and hopefully help give a brief guide on how to start collecting, learning some safekeeping, and getting you into the card game of your choice. I'll primarily be using Yu-Gi-Oh as an example since that's my main game, but this knowledge can be taken and applied to any other game you choose to play. Alright, let's get started. Tip number 1. Actual cards. Obviously. What did you think was coming? But let's go over on how to approach this. Obviously, to play a card game, you need cards. TCGs involve many types of products to help you get started and get a collection going so you have a bigger pool to choose from as you go. You have singles, boosters, structured decks / starter decks, and booster boxes, and some special edition packs and stuff in between which help too. Of all of these, my best recommendation to get started are both structured decks, as they offer you an instant start to your collection and get you up and running right away, and singles, as you have more control over how much you want to drop for your first deck, and you can pinpoint exactly what you want or need if you're starting from ground zero. Booster packs are also great in giving both your collection and decks an extra boost, as they contain cards you may need depending on the set that you get. These cards are all random per pack, so I always recommend looking at a set list to see what's included in what set so you can target a lot easier. Or just buy singles for complete control over what you need. Of all of these options, the only one I wouldn't recommend is booster boxes. Now, booster boxes are great if you really want to bulk up your collection. However, it's extremely hard to recommend starting off with boosters because you usually have to buy a lot of these if you want to get all the specific cards that you may need to build a deck. And we're talking about your first deck here. And they usually include support for a heap of different archetypes that you may not even be interested in, and you usually end up with a lot of cards you most likely won't be using in your first deck. Or if ever. It's extremely hard to justify the prices and purchases of booster boxes as you have the least control over this. Now, if you want to get a booster box just for the heck of it and to crack it open, go ahead. I just don't recommend it for starting out and trying to build a whole deck out of. Tip number 2, storage and supplies. Now, this part may be the most important part of this whole video. I even considered on making a whole video dedicated just to this because this is extremely important. As you begin to build your collection, whether it's through sealed products or buying singles, your collection will grow fast, and faster than you may think. These cards add up and pile up quick, and the last thing you want is to have these cards spread out everywhere you look. I open a lot of packs and sets here at my base, and I've been there. Having cards laid all over the table and elsewhere they shouldn't be is just not safe most of the times. So one of the most important things I want to say is sort your storage solutions first. I recommend having things like deck boxes to store your decks, binders to store your extra cards you may need later, and bulk boxes to keep anything you may also need in the future that you might need to come back to. I also highly recommend sleeves for keeping your cards sleeved and protected, and so they can be kept and stored in much better condition. This should probably go without saying. Please, please, please make it a priority to sleeve your cards ASAP. Sleeves are usually extremely cheap depending on the brand, but I do recommend going for those higher quality sleeves. But please don't put your cards in rubber bands and shoe boxes ever, because it's not 2008 anymore. Come on, what are you doing? I probably will make a full video on this because I really want to talk about why this is so important, but just know that this is probably the most important thing that you might see on this list. Tip number 3, learn how to play your game. Like any game, there's rules that you need to know, and TCGs like Yu-Gi-Oh, Vanguard, and other card games are ones that you're gonna need to learn how to play. There's plenty of guides and resources out there depending on your game of choice. This is made even easier because a lot of structured decks or starter decks and other sealed products usually give something like a small guide to teach you the rulings and basics of the game and do a good job in getting you off the ground and learning how to deal with and play your game. Different games have different rulings, mechanics, and win or lose conditions that are key to know in playing the game. While the guides included in these products are great in getting you started, I also recommend looking outside and elsewhere if you really want to up your game and really learn the ins and outs. There are plenty of guides on YouTube alone, and other sites and guides like Reddit and forums can also be great bases to learn some tech from more experienced people. If you want the knowledge, chances are it's already out there and all you have to do is just find it. And thankfully, it's never hard to find anything you may want to learn on the internet. And lastly, community. TCGs are no doubt enjoyed with other people around, whether it's friends, family, or a local community, in person or online. These games are made for and are meant to be enjoyed with others, so community is a big key part in all of this. Most products these days are usually made simple for two people to get straight into the game together, whether it's things like double packs or extra cheap starter decks and packs for two people to hop right into. If you have a local scene nearby, I heavily encourage in jumping in on it. Not only are you amongst it with other people that share the same passion, but supporting your local scene means a lot too and benefits everyone in the community. Have a group, find your clique, whether in person or online. If you're not in a position to play with someone else IRL, that's okay. There's still plenty of ways to do so online. The age of the virus has made the TCG community to be more adaptive with the times and has given us new ways to play, such as remote dueling and other ways like simulator games where you can still play the game and test the decks that you want. The point is, community is huge for all of this, and there's plenty of ways that are made easy to help people jump right into and discover the fun of these games. I myself have been running weekly rounds of both Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links and Master Duel, so always feel free to stop by for some rounds whenever I'm doing so. In conclusion, getting started with TCGs doesn't need to be as complicated as some may think. There's a few things I didn't get to touch on as extensively, like looking at current sets over older sets because of relevance and possible balance and mechanic changes along the way that some games might introduce, but getting started with the basics is quite simple. Yu-Gi-Oh is my favorite game of all time, and seeing more and more people get into it or just give it a shot has been really cool for me. So if you're ever looking to get started with TCGs properly, I hope this video helped a bit in giving you a bit more direction. Whatever game you're playing, whether it's Yu-Gi-Oh, Digimon, Vanguard, or Dragon Ball Super, the card game, does anyone play this game? I hope there's something in here for you to take away. I do a lot of TCG coverage on my Twitch channel, and it's great being able to talk about these things more extensively. So if you're interested, feel free to check me out over there. And until then, I'll see you guys in the duel arena.